Hello everyone, welcome to this session on what does a DevOps engineer do. Today in this session we will be discussing what are the day-to-day things that a DevOps engineer does when he gets appointed as a DevOps professional in any company. Okay, so we're going to start off the session by discussing the agenda. So we will be first discussing why should you become a DevOps engineer and then move on to discuss what is a DevOps engineer exactly. After that, we're going to move on and talk about how to become a DevOps engineer, and then finally the learning path as to how you can learn DevOps to get a brighter future. So, guys, this is the agenda for this session. I hope it's clear to you. Now, let's move on and start off with the first topic, which is why should you become a DevOps engineer? So, there are basically 3 points that you should keep in mind when you're choosing any career profile, right? The job opportunities that are out there for that career profile, the salary that it's going to award you, and the third thing that who is exactly hiring for the job profile. So keeping these things in mind, let's discuss the profile of DevOps engineer. So when you talk about the job opportunities, currently if you go online and if you search for DevOps engineer jobs, there are 2,600 job profiles which are open right now, which you're going to apply to just in Bangalore. Just in India. And if you just talk about Bangalore, there are 900 plus job positions that you can apply to. Similarly, if you talk about US, there are 21,000 plus jobs that you can apply for just the DevOps profile right now. And if you talk about California as a state, the uh, job profiles which are out there are 1,200 plus just for the DevOps engineer profile. Now we just search for the keyword engineer. There are also profiles such as DevOps architects. There are profiles such as uh, uh, cloud and DevOps engineer, cloud engineer. So all these are similar profiles which have a similar job description, and you can just add the number to this number once you search for those profiles as well. Right. So given the fact that we have just searched for DevOps engineer, these are the kind of numbers that we have got for the different locations that we are showing you. Now, moving forward, if you talk about the salary, the average salary of a DevOps engineer in India is around 80,000 rupees. That and it can go up to even 1 lakh rupees per month. So this is the average salary. And if you talk about can someone earn more than this? Yes, absolutely. So there are people who are earning upwards of 4 to 5 lakhs a month as well. But obviously their skill sets are a little more advanced. Not a little, I would say a lot more advanced. They probably know a lot more about DevOps. They know a lot more about cloud. They know a lot more about development in general, right? And similarly, if you talk about US, the average salary lies between 11 to 16,000 rupees, dollars per month, right? So this is the average. So people are earning less than this as well. People are earning more than this as well. But if you talk about an average guy who is a DevOps engineer in the India and the US, these are the salaries that he might be earning. Similarly, if you talk about the companies, the different type of companies that you can apply to and the kind of salaries that you can expect. Well, if you apply to a service or product based company, if you're applying for a service based company, probably the salary will be a little less. The reason for that was that a service based company does not focus much on the product that they're building, right? So they have a lot of products to build, and they have the same kind of job every time that they have to show in each kind of product. So therefore the kind of salary that are there is a little less or pretty less than what you can get in a product based company if you apply as a DevOps engineer, because the sole responsibility of a DevOps engineer is to focus on the product, to make the product better, right? So sometimes the in a service based company, the client may not want that kind of a requirement where they want the product to be patched every month, or it should be patched every 15 days. But when you have your own product, when that product is the sole thing which is earning you money, in that case companies or startups which have started those products basically focus or tend to focus more on the product, and hence they need skilled or very experienced DevOps engineers or DevOps architects, and that's why even the salary range in product based companies are higher, right? Then it also comes down to the experience. So if you have 0 to 5 years of experience and you are applying for a DevOps engineer profile, obviously with the experience you would have a little less skill set than a guy who is around 5 to 10 years of having 5 to 10 years of experience, right? So but I mean, this is something which is debatable. So, a guy who is 0 to 5 years experience might have more knowledge than a guy who is 10 years experience. So it all depends on the guy who is applying. And in my experience, that matters a lot. While you're sitting out for interviews, it does not matter how many years you have basically spent in a particular domain. It matters how many projects, how much of exposure you have got, and how much of knowledge you have in that particular domain, right? So having said that, now let's talk about who is hiring for DevOps engineers, right? So you have all these companies who are hiring for DevOps engineers like Amazon, Adobe, Walmart, IBM, Wells Fargo, VMware, Dell, and a lot more companies, because everything, if any product life cycle is requiring DevOps these days, just because of the simple fact that the team sizes have grown, the number of vulnerabilities which are out there on the internet have grown, and similarly, even the customer demand has changed. So you have to cater to, or there's a lot more competition now with respect to how applications are developed. So let's say if you have Amazon, if you're working for a company called Amazon, and let's say in the Indian e-commerce scene, there's a company called Flipkart as well, right? So the Flipkart application, if it's giving a lot more features than Amazon, well, that can impact their business. So every app has to be updated. Every app has to have cut-to-cut features, and because of that, the whole responsibility of driving the business comes down to the tech team of the company, right? And when you have to manage a tech team in the most efficient manner, you need to implement a DevOps lifecycle. This companies have recognized, and that's why the demand for DevOps engineers is also growing as we move along in the future, right? So now let's understand, what does a DevOps engineer basically do. So talking about the job response, or the responsibilities or the roles that a DevOps engineer has to play, when he's working for a particular company, these are some of the things that he might have to do. So these are some job descriptions that we have picked up from job portals like Naukri, like Indeed, and these are the things that the companies expect a DevOps engineer to do. So he should be well versed with Linux operating systems. He should be well versed with DevOps tools such as Jenkins, such as Git, such as CI/CD tools, Gradle, Maven build tools, database, right? Then he should also, now this is something which is peculiar to this particular job profile. Not all the DevOps engineers would be expected to know, development, like for example Java, web services, REST, and SOAP APIs. Probably they would be expected to know how to work with APIs, but not building APIs. So this is a peculiar job description. Let's have a look at more job descriptions. So let's talk about VMware here. So in VMware, you can see there's no software development expectation over here. But if you look at the skills that they're asking for tools like Ansible, Terraform, Jenkins, Docker, then Python. They're asking for cloud automation software, probably like Terraform, then AWS knowledge like Route 53, and then DYN, and then Big IP. So all these are things that are expected. So from the two job descriptions that we saw right now, we come to know that cloud is something that they're expecting, and a whole lot of DevOps tools they are expecting. Let's look at one more job description. So here's a job description from Amazon. So what they're expecting is a background from Linux. Then he should be good with databases. He should know about software development or technical support, right? They should also know about communicating the technical requirements of customers to their partners, and also they're expecting working experience in Java or C++ based distributed systems. So distributed systems basically means systems. So if you have experience in cloud, even that would account to over here. They're not expecting you to know a programming language. They just expect you to know that you have worked on distributed systems. Similarly, they expect you to know a scripting language such as Perl or Python, right? So if we were to summarize the skills that different job descriptions are asking for in a DevOps engineer profile, so basically they're asking you to have knowledge on distributed systems. They're asking you to have knowledge On a certain operating system such as Linux, they're asking you to have knowledge on DevOps tools such as Terraform, Jenkins, Docker. They expect you to have knowledge on cloud such as AWS and Azure, databases, scripting language. So these, you can say, are some of the skills that are required in most of the job descriptions which are out there, which are basically, recruiting a DevOps engineer. Now, talking about the day-to-day roles and responsibilities of a DevOps engineer. So now you can relate to what skills we just understood to the job that the DevOps engineer basically has to do. So he has to make sure that the development pipeline is running smoothly. So we read about the CI/CD technologies, right? The CI/CD softwares which are needed by a DevOps engineer as a skill. So those basically help you to create development pipelines. He should be good with communication, hence his interaction with other teammates, is something that he should be good with. You should be able to work on automation backlog. So if there are a lot of features that a development team is not able to complete since the past time, and now since you have been recruited in the company, he should be able to create a process so that that backlog can be prioritized and can be worked upon by your development team. Now obviously, if you hire a DevOps engineer in your company, the speed of development is going to increase. Obviously it's going to increase because there are going to be a lot of processes that he's basically going to make more efficient. Then he should be good with dealing with legacy stuff, which basically means, let's say if your company is having their own servers, if they're having their own operating systems, and if now they want to make a shift to cloud, you should be able to help them. And in order to help them, you should also be able to deal with the older operating systems. You should be able to deal with the existing software which is there on their systems and help them make a transition to cloud and implement DevOps over there, right? So he should also be good with the training. So since you will be hired at a senior profile, you will be expected to form a team. So you should be good with training the guys who you will be hiring. You should be good with hiring the right kind of set of people. So all this will be tested, or all this will be expected from you, or all this you will be doing once you get hired as a DevOps architect or as a DevOps engineer, right? And also, final and the most important part also is that you also should be good with documentation. So whatever product that you build, in order for your team to understand it, I mean, because there always is going to be new additions to your team. Some people might go, some people might come, so it might be very difficult for you to give KT to each and every person in the team. So it's very important to have a proper documentation in place that you can use to basically give to your new employees, and so that they can understand, the new employees can understand your product from that documentation pretty well. Okay, now let's talk about the fact that how can you become a DevOps engineer, right? So we have just talked about what are the day-to-day activities, what are the skills required to be a DevOps engineer, right? And we have also talked about why you should become a DevOps engineer. Let's talk now about how to become a DevOps engineer. So guys, first of all, you will have to go through all these skill sets one by one. So you will have to learn all these skill sets. You will have to have an understanding of major DevOps tools. You should be good with automating DevOps pipelines. You should be good with distributed systems, Linux operating system, databases, scripting language, cloud infrastructure. So all this is something that you'll have to be good with, right? Now you might be thinking then, how do I go ahead and learn all of these things? So guys, it will take time. So honestly, you cannot become a DevOps engineer overnight. You will have to work on these skills. And if you're self-learning, especially, it will take time, because obviously you might have a side job as well that you're doing currently, or you might have a job that you're trying to switch from, obviously, which you cannot leave until and unless you have a job in hand, right? So you will have to spend some time. You will have to be consistent in gaining all these skill sets. And once you do, obviously, I mean, since DevOps is a technology which is not taught in colleges, obviously, people who are DevOps engineers today, they have gained this skill set over time, and that's how they are where they are right now. So if you want to be in this profile, obviously it's not like you cannot switch from your current domain to this profile. Obviously it's possible. It's just that you will have to put in a little bit of effort. Okay, having said that, what is the learning path? How should you start your journey? Well, guys, we at Intellipaat put out a lot of videos every day. right? So we have our YouTube channel where we put out good tutorials, informative tutorials on all the recent technologies, so you can go through them. We also have something called as Intellipaat Academy, where we have some preview of our courses. So if you're interested to find out a starting point in your career, you can actually go to our Intellipaat Academy as well. Have a look at the number of courses that we have there, learn from them, and then if you if you think that this is what you have to do, you can also enroll into a premium courses. And then we have also blogs that we write, so you can go through our blogs to understand, if you're not into watching videos, you can read stuff, right? And you can also troubleshoot. Let's say you get stuck somewhere while you're learning, so we also have a lot of demos that we have also, or hands-on that we have also shown in blogs, so you can go through them as well to understand or troubleshoot the kind of work that you're doing. Right now, with that said, guys, I have my colleague over here who is going to take you through how you can make a transition from what you're doing currently into the DevOps engineer profile using, or by making use of our courses, right? And also a special treat for all the people who are watching this video, you'll get a flat 30% off if you basically enroll today, right? So my colleague is here, he'll help you out, and he will, probably expand more on what I was talking about. So over to you.